So, BMI is used as a junk measurement. It has absolutely no practical relevance whatsoever. When I was in university, one of the first things that they ask you to do in biomed is very much like sports science and weight related. And my BMI was always normal, and so we were sat around looking at it and evaluating it for nutrition pathophysiology and asking ourselves the question, is BMI a good measurement? And my answer at the time was yes, and the people who say no are only usually saying that as an excuse. My opinion is now extremely different. BMI is a terrible measurement to go by, and the reason why is because it takes into account your height and your weight, and that's it. From a medical point of view, these things, you being either very short or a bit tubby, has absolutely no bearing on your health at all. The only reason why they potentially use BMI is because it can certainly be a signpost of other things. So if you have a high BMI, it's probably worth getting your blood pressure checked. If you have a high BMI, it's probably worth maybe looking at your sleep patterns. I don't use wearables. Massive, not a fan of them. But if that's something that you can take a look at, maybe it's something to look at. But if you're sleeping fine, if your blood pressure's fine, if you don't have any family history of the likes of cancer, if your liver function, kidney function, if all of that is good, then how much you weigh is immaterial. In fact, it only really makes a difference in terms of how you feel internally, what your mental health is like. If you're not happy with your weight because of your appearance, again, it's a dodgy road to go down, but I'm not castigating you for that. But if your weight isn't actually causing you any health problems, there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe you're the weight that you're supposed to be. It's because BMI is something that can point to other conditions, but having it in and of itself is not a condition. Being a smoker, for instance, merely being a smoker is not a condition that you need to look out for, but there are other things that it can point to, like being like having a much higher risk of heart disease, like having a much higher risk of emphysema, lung cancer, all of these different things. It can point to them, but it's not in and of itself it's not something that could be described as a pathology, as a condition. And same with high BMI. It's not in and of itself a pathology. It's not in and of itself a condition. When you get to a point where your weight is causing you mobility problems, that's when your weight is a problem. But until then, it's the other things that you need to look out for internally, which having a high BMI might not actually point to. And so then we get onto the rather thorny subject of weight loss jabs. If you don't have a health problem and you take something that is designed for somebody that has a health problem, that can cause a health problem. So a lot of these weight loss jabs were invented as ways to treat type 2 diabetes. That is the case with most of them. And if you don't have something like heart disease or cancer, or your weight isn't pushing you towards heart disease or cancer, something like one of those jabs could potentially do so. I don't castigate anybody who for whatever reason can't manage their diet or workout regime appropriately. That's not a moral failing. But what I do say is, if you've done those things and you still can't shift that weight, provided that there is nothing else wrong with you, don't worry about it. And injecting yourself with chemicals is not the answer. Cannot stress that enough. It's about being comfortable within your own skin. It's about knowing who you are and being okay with who you are. And as I say, don't jump to an injection. If your BMI is not the be-all and end-all, you are the be-all and end-all. Your heart is the be-all and end-all. Your kidneys are the be-all and end-all. Eat more spinach. Cut back on the alcohol. These are all things that you can do if you want that healthy life. But your weight is such a small part of it. Such a massively small part of it. Because the one thing that absolutely will mess up your weight is getting obsessive overweight. Causes anxiety, causes depression, causes you to lose sight of other things that you could be doing to manage it. Don't obsess over it, and certainly don't drill yourself with chemicals to try and fix it. The reason why the medical establishment uses this is because the reason why they get so hung up on BMI is because they think that people are generally thick. They think that people are thick and cannot understand that you need to take a holistic view. And when I say holistic, I don't mean like let's all just take off our fields and dance in a field in Somerset. When I say holistic, I mean you need to take an overall view of your health. You need to look at the numbers individually rather than something like BMI. So they simplify it by using BMI. But I actually think as a society, I think with the advancements in technology, I think that we're actually smart enough to be able, or all of us are smart enough to be able to understand changes in blood pressure. I'm pretty sure we would all be able to do a dipstick test. It's not rocket science. And all of these things, absolutely, let's do. But yeah, the reason why they use BMI is because it's just so much easier to patronise somebody by giving them a simple number rather than explaining to them, which can take so far 8 minutes and 26 seconds, to explain that it is that overall view that you need. And I think that that's actually where we need to go. I think we need to explain to people what potential impacts of their health are and how they can manage it themselves. And I think that BMI is a number that we really, really need to move away from, because not only can it say that things are right when they're in fact wrong. My BMI is classed as overweight, but I've got a big problem with with blood pressure. I've got sorry. I've got a bit of a problem with somebody who has a BMI of like maybe between 30 and 35, class 1 obese. My ex-business partner was a prime example of this. Nothing wrong with his numbers. He was absolutely fine, healthy in every way, very fit and healthy. In his 40s, probably bio age of younger than that. So not only can it kind of like mask things that have gone right, not only can it kind of like tell you that everything is right when in actual fact there's something seriously wrong with it, but it can also do the opposite. It can tell you that there's something wrong, like a high BMI, when everything else is fine.